Alright, so let's talk about Grendel. So this is a 1981 um, Australian movie. Yeah, and it's based on a book by John Gardner, simply called Grendel, which is a retelling of the famous old story of Beowulf, told from the perspective of, the enemy he fights in the first of his three stories, Grendel. Yeah, and the other stories, it's a pretty obviously it's a famous story. But yeah, it's like three stories. The first one he fights Grendel. The second one he fights his mom, and then the third one he fights a dragon. And I don't know a whole lot about the story, but no, I do know about Grendel and his mom and all that. So yeah. So yeah, this is an animated movie based on that book, directed by Alexander Stitt. Um, let's see. It says it was a second full length, fully animated. Oh, fully animated. Yeah, I was about to say I just watched one of the Dot movies last night, so yeah, made in Australia. Anyway, let's see. So the story is we have the monster Grendel, who's let me see, basically a couple guys from under the what's his name, King Hrothgar. They're they happen to encounter Grendel in the woods, and now they start making stories about him, and he kind of becomes this legendary terror that's terrorizing the kingdom. Although he is kind of like he does eat. He is a carnivore, but he's not like evil. He's just your typical animal. He's just hunting for food. And eating people and animals is about as nasty as he gets, because otherwise he's a pretty well spoken, mostly well meaning, creature who's basically just collecting food for himself and his mother, who we never see, but we do see her shadow near the beginning, and seems to hint that she's even bigger than he is. And it's kind of hard to talk about the exact story. I mean, it's basically just about Grendel's life, leading up to him getting killed by Beowulf. So yeah. But yeah, he's just getting food for him and his mom, and let's see. And then at one point he starts to have like visions of this dragon who's probably even bigger than his mom, because I guess that is kind of the pecking order of the enemies that Beowulf fights. Again, Grendel, his mom, the dragon. But yeah. Otherwise he's mostly just doing what he needs to do to survive, and yeah, other Otherwise, again, he's well-spoken, and he's voiced by Peter Ustinov. That actor who's made a couple appearances in this series now. Yeah. I know him best as the voice of Prince John in Robin Hood, or the Disney animated Robin Hood. Yeah, I have to specify exactly what I'm talking about because, again, there's not even. Yeah, there's more than one Disney Robin Hood, even. But anyway, yeah, I'm trying to find specific things to talk about because, a lot of it is, going into, reading about the book, let's see. The novel deals with finding meaning in the world, the power of literature and myth, and the nature of good and evil. So, it does kind of create this, inner debate, because, Grendel's obviously not a saint, but, it is, what they wrote in the original Beowulf story, you can't help but wonder, or I guess the idea of the book was to, see things from the point of view of this monster that the hero, or so-called hero, fought. And, from his perspective, he at least might see himself as a decent person. And, yeah, it's a lot of complex commentary that might be a little over my head, or just, yeah, it might be a little out of my depth or something, but, yeah, it is some interesting talking points, and, obviously this would kind of help give rise to a lot of stories down the line, retellings of old fairy tales and such that kind of recontextualizes everything, and shows how maybe the villain isn't really the villain, or at least from their point of view. Yeah, obviously this has become pretty, trendy as of late. We've gotten certain Disney movies like, Maleficent and Cruella, recasting the villain as, more of an anti-hero. And, there's a bunch of movies that kind of do that, where, yeah. Basically, it's kind of a form of, I guess you'd call it, revisionism. Is that the right word here? It, and a lot of these do kind of do a similar thing where, the villain is suddenly, the misunderstood anti-hero, and the character that was originally the hero might, if not a straight-up villain, then, just not exactly the, beacon of light that they're portrayed as in the original story. But yeah, this movie does go into a lot of interesting themes, and, yeah. It's also got quite a sense of humor, there's a lot of, the animation style is very cartoony, but, obviously don't, this is one of those movies that isn't nearly as family-friendly as it might look at first glance, because, there's two very brief moments that, put it into almost R-rated territory. Aside from a few, moments of very brief, very mild language, but aside from that, there's a scene where Grendel bites off the head of this soldier, or one of the king's henchmen, whatever. And yeah, it's you see blood spraying out of his neck and everything. And then later, we have a brief moment of female nudity with the queen. And yeah, let's see. But yeah, I guess, there's also a lot of very, I guess you could call it like intellectual type humor. I think there's some. Peter Ustinov was British, right? Yeah. It's pretty British in its humor, and it was made in Australia, so I guess that's close enough. And yeah, I won't pretend like, I followed every single little joke, but, it definitely had some funny moments. But yeah, when it wasn't being goofy, there were some pretty dark moments. And, this is kind of, they do water down the dark themes in this one compared to the book. But yeah, this is definitely complex stuff for me, at least, and, I'm trying to come up with, the right stuff to, find the right words for everything, and, yeah, I'm not exactly the best at speaking about these complex themes on the fly, I might be able to, like I said in a previous video, I might be able to write up, a paper on, the themes they touch upon. Oh yeah, that was in the American Pop Review. And yeah, this is another movie that, there's a lot of critical discussion to be had, and yeah, some very interesting themes it explores, especially for, the time it came out, because these weren't that common back then. Now they're almost everywhere, but these stories where the villain isn't really the villain. Yeah. But otherwise, this was very interesting, very well made, overall entertaining movie. Again, I liked the jokes. I liked the, style of the animation. It had a very unique style. Yeah, the voice acting was good. We had some, talented British voices. And, most of the voices in here don't have a page, so I guess most of the people in here aren't that well known. And the only one I know about is Peter Ustinov. There's also Keith Mitchell, who voices the Shaper. That's, as they say in the movie, that's, I guess, kind of a storytelling, singer, what do you call them, minstrel type. Well, I guess he's not a minstrel if he doesn't have, like, a lute or a guitar or anything. But yeah, and then, let's see, Arthur Dignam voices both the dragon and Beowulf, so, yeah. But yeah, either way, I don't know much of anything about either of those two guys, but still, some very talented voices, and yeah, I think this was a pretty solid film, even if, it was a little complex for my rather simple, understandings, but, I followed along with everything just fine overall. I got the gist of the story. You know, it's, it's not like, what was that movie, that Pogo movie that I talked about before and got some backlash for, because, I didn't fully understand the themes they were touching on. Here, I do. But yeah, it's still very complex stuff, and I do what I can to talk about what I can talk about, but yeah, otherwise, this was a pretty solid movie, and yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give it an 8 out of 10. And yeah, I would definitely recommend it to anyone who's interested, and as usual, if there's anything else I need to add, I'll put it in the comments. So, yep, I guess I will just leave it at that for now. Mash it and smash it, signing off.